Good morning and welcome to So Soul San Francisco Internationally Black, where we visit with black artists who are creating around the world. And this month we're going to London and we're talking all about what it's like to study abroad while black. Our guest is Bianca LaVerne Jones, an actor, director, and a recent graduate of LAMDA, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. She's going to tell us all about her experience studying directing in London. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy So Soul San Francisco Internationally Black with Bianca LaVerne Jones. All right, so we are here. We have another member of the company of Black Artist Contemporary Cultural Experience, Kehinde Koyejo, with us today.
Hey.
Hey, Kehinde. Um, and our guest this month is Bianca LaVerne Jones. So we're talking about studying abroad while black, and we're gonna be talking with Bianca about her experience
Yes.
studying in London, where we are this month. So Bianca, hello, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be so wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you, Rotimi. I'm Bianca LaVerne Jones. I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. And if you know North Carolina, then I'm from Cary, North Carolina, which is more specific. Whole family lives in Durham. Um, and I guess about me, Kayende is my best friend, and I love her very deeply. I make a lot of apple pies. I enjoy baking and sipping wine and talking to Kayende. And
Cheers, sis.
and cheers to that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm an educated woman who is living in the world as an actor and director. I have poured into my acting career for the last 20 so years, now that it's 2021, about 20 years. And I have become a director officially. A master director from the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, aka LAMDA,
Mm-hmm.
um, circa 2017. And so I did a 1-year program there. But before that, I studied at the North Carolina School of the Arts for high school, SUNY Purchase Acting Conservatory, and got my BFA. I went to Yale School of Drama for a year, and then 15 years passed or something close to that, and I went and got my master's in directing from LAMDA. And now, currently, I am in the housing residency in Baltimore, Maryland, as the director of a play called The Glorious World of Crowns, Kinks, and Curls by Kelly Goff at Baltimore Center Stage, which is out the window that way. And just came out of rehearsal a couple hours ago, and I'm very happy to be here with you. Oh, and there's a project that I'm working on currently called that I just finished that goes up with New York Theater Workshop February 19th to 22nd, called For Which It Stands by Lee Edward Colston II. And I'm very excited about it. It's about 8 Black women in the penal system and kind of the goings-ons. It is a play not to be missed. Neither one of them are.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're busy, busy. Tell me about the Baltimore situation. Are you? Is it a live production that you're rehearsing right now at
Okay, thank you
Baltimore?
for asking. So I drove here. They
Hmm.
put us all up. I am directing a play in a rehearsal room. We had to quarantine the first week. We're getting tested 3 times a week for COVID. All of us are negative. We go into the rehearsal room. This was our first week of rehearsal together in a room.
Wow.
We are double masked in the room, even though we tested negative, because those are the rules of
CDC.
AEA,
Oh, AEA.
Actors Equity, and can't drink, can't really drink water, can't do nothing. So we trying to like ask them, like, can we drink some water? It's like, you got to go to your dressing room and sip the water. You got to do this, you got to do. But if somebody, we do have somebody, it's like, it's an emergency, they need, if they need to go to the restroom and take care of themselves, they can do that.
Oh,
wow. Are they planning for a live performances of this with a live audience?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't get there fast enough for you.
Right.
So excited to know.
Right.
So no, I am creating a play. I'm going to put it on the stage, and we're going to record it, and then I get to add film elements to it, and then put it out.
Okay. Oh, cool.
So people will be able to watch it via a link.
It's going to stream. That's correct.
It's going to stream. Okay.
Wow. You're kind of a pioneer in making theater under these conditions.
100%.
Yeah.
We're talking about the pioneering of it every day. The artistic producer called me a pioneer tonight, as a matter of fact, in my follow-up call with her after rehearsal. Because I think that we may be one of the first theaters doing it, definitely here in the States. And then also, just figuring it all out as far as the COVID is concerned. It was not, our first day, to be honest with you, was not easy, kind of going from like Zoom where you can see my face to being like, okay, we're in person, but I'm double masked. I feel like I can't breathe, and then having to bring it down like, we're grateful, we are blessed, we're in a room together creating art, and we are going to make it through this process.
Yeah. And are the actors, are they double masked while they're like running the scenes and stuff?
Yeah. We walk into the theater, we have to sign in, sanitize, say where we've been and who we've been exposed to, fill out that form. Then when you come in with your personal mask, then you got to put another mask on top of that. When you get to the rehearsal room, they have the masks with the clear part over the mouth, so I can see them speaking.
That's what I was going to ask.
What's crazy is, a lot of my actors have gotten the kind of rib thing that goes over like this, so that you can see, so they can talk without the mask kind of touching their mouths.
Okay.
So
it's a new day, y'all. It's a new day.
It's a new day.
It's a new reality.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's go back to London. Let's go to London.
Okay.
We'll come back to Baltimore. But so I want to know, what made you decide to go study in London at LAMDA?
So if I'm honest, I really was looking to change my life and change my world. At certain parts in our lives, I think there's like an aching to discover something else about yourself, to crack open your soul and your spirit in a way to say, what is that thing? What is it? And I was at 101 NYC, taking the classes up at 101, and I was just sitting there minding my Black business, and I was eavesdropping, I guess, and overheard this Black girl who had just graduated, a white dude who just graduated from there, and that's how they knew each other. And they were like, oh yeah, they got a directing program. Like, I would totally go back and go to the directing program. And something about that started answering that question that I had been asking myself, that I had been writing down, that I've been talking over with Kayende endlessly. Like, there's something else going on with me and I don't know what it is. I'm lost. And then I heard that and I was like, I'm going to apply to that program. And so I told somebody else, like, I'm going to apply to that program. While I was at 101, I made up my mind that day. And they were like, they only accept 3 people. And I was like, I'm going to apply to that program, I said.
Okay. Did you not hear me?
Did you not hear me? So I applied to the program, and obviously I got in. But it was obvious to me that I was going to get in. But it was it was great. Like, I was in the middle of doing Disgrace by Ayat Akhtar in Sarasota, Florida. And I had my first interview audition. Hello, Ola Lola Day.
Now to the table like this. Like, and she
look who's here.
I'm like, don't stop, don't.
She sees the camera. She sees the camera. Lola Day.
Ola Lola Day.
So we have
Lola Baby.
A guest today. Listening.
Yes.
Hey, my baby.
Very special guest star.
Very special.
You're not gonna say hey to Auntie BB?
Hi, Auntie Bibi.
Okay. So let's go
Okay,
back. So let's
cool.
go back. So you said you
Sarasota.
yeah, you were in Sarasota doing this
So
great
I was
stuff.
in Sarasota, Florida when I got when I did my first interview. And I was like, okay, cool, and then I got a call back and they were like, your callback is in London. And I was like, but we did it on Skype before. And they were like, call back in London. And I was like, okay. And what's so interesting, my partner at the time, I ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus, but if anybody's gonna be using this to take themselves further, you should know this, right? My partner at the time, I said, oh, my callback is in London. And my partner was like, oh man, that sucks. I guess you can't go. And I was like, huh? I'm going. I'm just telling you where the callback is at, you know? And so it was very interesting. Bye-bye, honey bun. And so it was very interesting that he said that to me because I then was able to pull my little monies together, buy my round trip ticket to London, call on a favor. Girl, I need to stay on your couch. Okay, girl, no problem. And I was like, okay, and got over there, and through grace and friendship and prayer and love, um, I was on my way. I was at the Contemporary American Theater Festival. I was replacing somebody in the show at Contemporary American Theater Festival like a few weeks later, like 2 weeks later. And I opened the door to the festival to walk in to go to my first day of rehearsal, and my phone rang and it was London calling. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, Bianca, this is Debbie. Would you like to join the program here? And I was like, yes, yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she was talking. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be late for rehearsal. Oh God, oh God. And I said, well, look, I got a great excuse. If I'm late, I just have to tell them
LAMDA called.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But thank God, thank God I went in early that day, right? So I wasn't late. And when I got in there, I was like, I had to steady myself so I could listen, because I was just like, I'm on my way to freaking London. I can't believe this.
Wow. Girl.
Yeah.
Before you go forward, I do want you to elaborate a little bit.
Mhm.
Two things that you had mentioned in the beginning, about pulling, like really tapping into your resources. Who did you know? You also did a fund, like a GoFund or some type of fund.
GoFundMe. Mhm.
Like, so I want you to talk a little bit about that, because a lot of times we limit ourselves and we say, well, we don't have the money. Oh, like your partner at the time was just like, oh, well, I guess you're not going because it's all the way in London.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to share your experience about, the tools that you actually use to make this happen. And then also, well, answer that question first, and then I have another follow-up, because you said something in the beginning that I wanted to come back to as well.
Okay. Well, don't forget that part.
Okay.
So, I asked my family to help me. I did a GoFundMe to help me. I did the GoFundMe when it was time to actually go to school.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was time to go there, I think I had some extra money saved up somewhere, and my mom and them gave me some money, to have while I was over there. And I think a couple of my aunties gave me some money. I went ahead and asked them, because I don't ask them for nothing.
Right.
Never. Christmas gifts or nothing. We don't exchange gifts. And I was like, I know everybody's struggling. I know everybody, ain't nobody got it. But I'm telling you, I got to do this. Can you please?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody chipped in. It was a very humbling experience to watch my family come together for me in this way.
Yeah.
Because when everybody understands that they're like, you're talented, you're gonna do it. You put your mind to something and you can do it. You go, girl. And so that's what happened. And then when it was time to go to school, I actually did the GoFundMe, and I can't even remember how much money I made, but people were pouring into me.
That's what I remember. People poured into you, BB. They sure did.
People poured into me. I mean, it was awesome how many people believed, and I got $200 here from known directors. It was like, huh? You helping me?
Mhm.
I thank you. $100 there, $50 there. A couple of my guy friends, that I would never expect them to come up off some money, was like, B, don't tell nobody. Here go 100. You did that, girl. You did that. You know?
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Not to get all into relationships, but it's really interesting when you think your relationship with just I'm a single Black woman, so the men around you, people want to see a Black woman thrive. When we thrive and people are like, oh, for real? Let me give to
Yeah.
you to make sure that you keep going. And
Let
said,
me
I was a part of
invest
that
in
story and I
you.
remain your friend. What you say,
hmm
Kay?
I said what they were doing is investing in you. When you see something of value and you know it's going to go somewhere, you know it's going to return, you're going to invest in it. And a lot of times, we just need to show up in our power and in our confidence and say, this is what I'm doing. Can you invest in my success, in the future of this? Because what you're doing, and this is what's going to lead me to my next question, is what you're doing is you're actually providing opportunities for the Black women. Like you're doing the show from
For
which
which it stands?
yes,
Lee
it's all
Edward
Black
Colston.
women, right?
Yes.
Then you're doing this piece in Baltimore.
All
Correct?
Black women. My
I'm
whole team
saying,
is Black. My whole team is Black
okay,
women.
this is what I'm loving this. So this is what I wanted to ask you because you said this in the beginning. Now, we spent a lot of time on you writing your essay, and I thought it was phenomenal. And I just want I want you to touch a little bit on what you put in there. I remember what you put in there, but what you're doing is what you told LAMDA you wanted to do. And I just want to, allow you to elaborate a little bit on that.
Girl, don't make me cry now. You know I got this white. Don't do it, Kay.
Let it all out.
I'm so proud.
What do you remember? If you don't mind my asking, spark my memory, and then I'll be like, oh, the floodgates open.
What I really remember is that you started with your beginnings. Your father is a master in the theater with a long line of work and contributions that he has given to theater. You talked about your experience sitting in those rooms and watching these actors and wanting it, having something to say about what was being done. How about if they do this way? Actually seeing it from a director's eye as a child. And I just want to hear a little bit more about your childhood and what led you to this.
Yeah. So let me give all high mighty praise to God for who I was born under, which is Herman LaVerne Jones, my dad. And let me never, ever negate the Queen Rock, Carolyn Taretha Williams Jones.
Come on, is
my mama. Teresa.
I love Mama Carolyn. Let me just go ahead and say that on record. Okay, now that's bad mama right there. Yes, Mama Carolyn, we are sending so much love to you right now for bringing this beautiful and Papa Herman for bringing you into this world, girl. Now, girl, tell us now, lay it on us, because you was
my
raised
father.
kids.
Right. So my father is an actor, producer, and director, and he was we from Raleigh, so he's always been connected to Black theater and having his own Black theater company or just own theater company. Let me not throw Black in there. And I just was always with him at rehearsals. If I wasn't with my mama, when you got your mama and your daddy, you either with your mama or you with your daddy or you're in summer camp or whatever it is. And going to theater camp, basically sitting in the rehearsals with my dad, it'd be 6 to 8 hours at a time. And everybody said, oh my God, this child is definitely going to be in the theater some kind of way, because I would sit there patiently and quietly and not say anything and just be watching and be so observative of what I was seeing. And I would start asking my dad questions about, like, why didn't they just leave the door open and then go through? Why didn't they walk above the couch? He was like, I don't know why they walk below the couch. Let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see what they do. And I'd be like, completely wrapped in the drama of it all, And my father's also one of the creators of the National Black Theater Festival in North Carolina, where I'm from. And so
He was
I
also
have
given that
seen,
award, just to throw that out there. They gave him an award. Not
yes,
mm-hmm.
yes. So they just honored him as one of the producers of the festival with their 30th year this past festival. So what was that? 2019 was the 30th festival. The first festival was in 1989. And him and Larry Leon Hamlin used to play racquetball together and eat chitlins. Or, don't judge my family. Don't judge my family. We from North Carolina. You can't, you can be theater all you want to, but you still grew up on hog mouse, so just relax, everybody. So my dad and Larry put together the festival, and lo and behold, I just happened to be there for all of it, all those shows, watching Maya Angelou speak. She taught at Wake Forest and would speak just often. Of course, she was at the National Black Theater Festival. Her and Oprah and Denzel and Lou Gossett Jr. and from Phyllis Stickney to everybody, Count Stovall, all manner of actor and people, Jeanette Dubois, everybody's been to the festival, and so I was watching theater constantly. And so in my essay to London, I was like, look at what my base, where I'm coming from, my base, and I think I have a vision on where it is that I want to go and how I want to shape myself. I want to use this opportunity to not only sit and listen to more stories and put my vision on them, but I wanted to get the opportunity to work with lighting, set, sound, music, direct, other designers to say, how do I really make the magic happen, know? Because Lord have mercy, you know how some lights can change a show. You'd be like, oh, I thought this was bad as hell with no lights, with some lights.
Magical.
You know who is the queen, who always comes to the festival and has always stood out and is an avant-garde Black pioneer leader who was an inspiration to me, is Rhodessa Jones.
Yes. Miss Jones. Yes.
Rhodessa Jones.
Yes.
She and Idris Ekamor would come out and put it, the tapping, the singing, the thoughts that would come out of them, the explorative nature of whatever it was that was pertinent to them or pertinent to her. She would create it, even if it was 10 people in the audience, if it was 100 people in the audience, they would lay it down. And I just thought, wow, what exploration, what devised work is this, And it's so interesting. I had not been brave enough to kind of do that sort of devised work until I got to London, as a matter of fact.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. Everybody can create something. It's like, oh, let's come up with a dance routine. That's devised. You know what I mean? Let's come with a dance routine, put some music to it. Oh, I'm gonna do a poem at the beginning, and then we're gonna do a song, and then we're gonna do this dance right here, and then we're gonna do this other thing, and we're gonna end up with a kata yow, or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's devised, and I ain't never not been a part of devising as a child, But it's like, oh my God, devising and asking somebody for money. Huh?
Yeah. Something fresh, something new.
So was that the focus of the program in London, or was there a particular focus, or did you do like a little bit of everything when you were at London? Like, was it?
We did a little bit of everything. Okay. It just really was able to break me open, because I felt like I had the opportunity that I never had before while I was, and I don't know if it was just me just kind of being fast with everything inside my thoughts and spirit. And, New York is such an animal. It just, you're clawing and, striding through the snow and up the hill and
the hard knock life, girl.
Jungle, just, for the audition, for the this, for the that. And then when you get it, you gotta be your best self. You gotta be awesome. You know what I mean? And then when you gotta come out there, you go, I'm the victor. Okay. And, it's always some other thing to conquer, right, in New York. When I got to London, I learned how to reflect. Spent a lot of time reflecting. I spent a lot of time not talking, which is the opposite of acting, right? When you're acting, you're always trying to come up with an idea, a choice, you know, managing the expectation, and you know, this prostitute archetype, which I don't mind saying that I have done it for myself, and I watch younger actors do it. You know, the more seasoned actors lay that prostitute down and say, I ain't hoeing for you. You're gonna take this work that I've been known for doing so good. And you gonna work and shape it and mold it, but I ain't doing that other stuff.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And so I laid down my prostitute archetype, and it was time. I'm older now as well. And I was able to really think. And I know that sounds weird, but really think, really take out the time to think about the work that I was doing. Really take out the time to devise my thoughts. What do you want to create? What do you want to talk about? How you can take a single word and create a whole story, you know? How you can pull in the best people that you think would be good for whatever it is you're creating and make something out of absolutely nothing, you know? No, it's just a really dynamic time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, what was it about the program specifically that gave you that space? Was that like built into the program, or was it just like your own approach to what you were dealing with?
It was built into the program because you do a lot of assistant directing, so you don't speak up. You know, when a director is directing, you sit and you watch, right? And so I observed several processes, you know, of people really taking an actor from stem to stern, you know, from A to Z, you know, every time, you know, you start, it's blank script, no notes, to on its feet, fully acting, fully characterized, you know, large major choices, light, sound, set. And it was like, that's interesting. And you get a chance to sit and think, this is what I would have done. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have waited that long to tell that give that actor that note. Oh, this is interesting. I wouldn't have said anything to anybody. I would have let them work that out. You know? And I found it like life shaking, you know, to sit and reflect. Yeah. So the program was built that way, and then we would get together a couple times a week and talk through what we were listening to and learning, and we would also be also simultaneously working on another play where we were making choices on a play, and we go see plays together, and comment on them and get together, you know, afterwards for a drink or what have you. And then we were creating devised work, and then we also directed our own play at the end of the year once we gathered all of our resources, and we made some audio dramas, and we made a couple of films on our own.
Wow. Full
yeah.
roster.
And I was a script supervisor for a film too.
So, Bibi, clearly you were a Black girl in London. Okay. I would like to know a little bit about what that was like. I mean, what were you? I mean, I know when I was studying at NYU, I was one of two sisters in my graduate program. Were you? I mean, was that the same experience for you in London, or was it a little bit more diverse, or what? I don't, you know.
Remember, there are only 3 of them, right?
No, Kayende is asking like she won't there for the whole experience.
That's a good interview.
Like once every 3 days, like, girl, they driving me crazy. These white people, Lord, have mercy, Jesus, save me, Lord. No, I was the only Black person in a 6-person class.
Okay.
For the directors, and 3 of us were American, 1 Greek, 1 English guy, and 1 woman from Israel. And so The other two white girls were from DC and Boston.
Okay.
So, cool. You know, everybody was cool. We all got along, but it was just so interesting how, obviously, all the time we're Black, our experience is completely different than everybody else's. We all living, going through this exact same experience, but my takeaway is always different than others because I'm Black, right? So the way that people talk to me or see me or sense me or relate to me is typically different, you know? When I first started the program, I was like, oh, you know, you always feel like you start with a clean slate, with an even slate with folks. And then it, you know, it gets complicated. Something I'm in therapy about is people speaking for me,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And um interestingly, when I was in college, there was a Black girl who used to be like, I guess, my black girl interpreter, because I would just speak and say what I felt. And then she'd be like, yeah, I think what Bianca means is da, 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 da. And then one day I just said, well, could you stop fucking doing that? You
What she
know,
needs
like,
to say is, I think what she's
yeah.
saying is,
And my therapist just now, because we just got to it, was like, she felt like she needed to take care of the white people's feelings,
hmm.
right? And that's typically the thing. We're always taking care of white people, no matter what, whether, you know, their feelings, their feelings and emotions all the time, how they perceive something. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not responsible for how you perceive it. You know, if I am talking about theater and you hear watermelon, watermelon, chicken, chicken, Sprite, Sprite, I can't help you. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you something that's gonna help
Exactly.
you. But
Exactly.
if you don't receive it that way, then I don't know what to do. You have to check your own privilege and your own stuff. That doesn't have anything to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very it was a trying time because Candy, like you said, you were moved by my writing, but while I was there, I was asked if I was dyslexic. And
Hmm.
I was like,
No, that's typical of a question that they, you know.
and Carolyn Jones, my mother, is a teacher from
Okay.
way back.
Okay.
She owned a daycare center with
A
200
master
kids,
educator.
a master educator.
Yeah.
And as somebody said recently in the play that I was working on, she was late for rehearsal and she showed up to Zoom. She was like, I have never, like, and it made me giggle so hard because clearly, you know, she never was late. She's never typically late for rehearsal. But when somebody asked me if I was dyslexic, I'm like, I have never
Mm, mm, mm,
been asked if I was dyslexic. And listen, anybody who sees this who struggles with dyslexia, that's nothing against them. Is that when you see somebody who's not dyslexic, who's expressing themselves in a way that you've never heard before, or writing something in a way that you've never seen before, the first thing you should not do is say, "Ooh, there's something wrong with this person." And I can't say, and one of my issues is that I assume that everybody reacts to things the way that I react to things, right? Which is not true. But let us all assume genius
yeah.
before we assume something's wrong with somebody.
Yes, Bianca, you hit it because this is so important. This idea of decolonizing theater is just it's what it's what we need, and it's what's going to allow us to exist in theater the way within our being us. You know, a lot of times we are forced to have to play characters that were not even written for us. Number one, Idris and I spent 2 weeks in Minnesota at the Directors Institute of Directing and Ensemble Building. And I thought we was going there to, you know, learn some directing and all that kind of stuff. The whole purpose of the whole purpose of the 2 weeks was to decolonize ourselves, decolonize theater and the way we practice theater. And it was amazing. We were in there with people from all over the world. And so when you talk about decolonizing theater, especially studying in LAMDA in London, where clearly the British has colonized many places, talk more about what that studying in London, and clearly I know it wasn't easy for you to do that as the Black girl in your class, but talk a little bit about what you learned about yourself, because there's a lot that we learn about ourselves when we're put against such a contrast, or a force that is making us assimilate or to change ourselves to be something else based on the way that institution is designed. So can you talk a little bit about decolonizing theater and what you learned about yourself studying in London, and being one of what, six?
Yeah, one of six. So, I mean, this gets kind of personal. It's not necessarily like academic per se. When you ask me that question, I mean, my sign
That's
is
what I'm getting at, personal.
Yes, I'm a Cancer, and I learned that like that mothering spirit that they talk about the Cancers have is really, really real. So, I learned how to listen better. I learned how to take care of people. I mean, I was there to direct, right? So, I learned more discernment.
What about your voice? Did you learn anything about your voice? I know, you wrote your piece to get into LAMDA, and you talked a lot about sharing your narrative, talking more about what your experience is being a Black woman, and how important those stories are to be told as well in theater. Were you freed up a little bit with your voice? Did you see a lot of representation of yourself in the work? Or was it pretty much kind of our experience here in America? It's just kind of, we do the classics.
It was our experience here in America. I mean, we were doing the classics over there. It was not about hearing nobody's voice. You're there to learn the material and keep it moving, That's the 100 part. But about my voice, I think that just who I am when I'm around people, they can gather big parts of me and learn something about themselves because of how free I am with myself. So if I may be so bold to be that reflective about who I am and how I affect people, I also was starting school at a later age as well. So those younger Black women, the two in the whole other like out of the whole school, the only 3 Black women in the whole school, me, one in the master's program, and one more in the whole school, and we all were so very, very, very different. But we got to share our voices. I think that more importantly, when I came back, I had a grander understanding of my own voice and how impactful I am.
I want to go a little bit into London, a little further into London, because when I think of London, I think of it being a very cosmopolitan city. I think of, we talk about colonization. I mean, there's so many people there from Africa, from the Far East, the Near East, from all over, and so much art that's being produced by those people or inclusive of those people. And I was just curious, did you have, while you were there, did you get to explore some of the art, or the or even just the community of people from other parts of the world, or other
Where
parts
you
of the
are right there
diaspora
in
even?
London.
Yeah.
Sitting in London, I was always at the Globe right over there, hanging out, seeing a bunch of shows. I was always in Shoreditch, partying, having a good time with a very diverse crowd.
Yeah.
I made a lot of different friends while I was there that were of different cultures. There were some South Asians, what we would call Indians here in America, that I hung out with and had some super good food with. Mm. And my Jamaican friends, I went to Wolverhampton. So it's just past Birmingham. And I went to Wolverhampton and went to my girlfriend's Nan's house, or her grandmother rather, and hung out and ate some Jamaican food by a Jamaican British woman that was really lovely and interesting.
I want to ask you something because you mentioned something before that I want you to just talk a little bit more about. You said, because I know a lot of times, we can get wrapped up in kind of like, the things um, that we don't like about traveling abroad. But
Yeah.
you mentioned that, once you got there, you knew it was about you gaining some skills, and that was it.
Mhm.
You knew that was the purpose of being there. Can you talk
Mhm.
about a little bit about what you gained as a director and as an artist, as an actor, that you didn't have, or that you didn't tap into before you went there, that you're
It
using in your career right now?
Yeah, it's gonna seem maybe esoteric, and you don't know it until you. But I told y'all already, it's actually the reflection part.
Hmm. Hmm.
As a New Yorker, a worker bee out here as an actor
For
in New
real.
York, it was profound to sit and listen,
Hmm.
to reflect, to write down my thoughts without them having to be immediately expressed into an action,
Right.
into a play that was going to start and open and had 2 weeks to open,
Mm-hmm.
where
And
I
do you,
need to, get people there, etc. So I think that reflection was networking and getting opportunities to talk with people that I've never talked to before, listening to other artists outside of America talk about the work. They're really, for me, and I hate to, say this, and I'm not trying to put down American work at all, but they use reflection to do their work and they get more done. They get the same
hmm.
amount of work done.
What was your favorite thing that you saw in London? Like, what was the most impactful, either performance or class or production or moment?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of good stuff. Oh my God. These Black people did The Convert by Danae Guerrero from
Deny,
Walking Dead.
deny. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
Danae
yeah.
Yeah.
Guerrero.
Uh-huh.
They did The Convert at the gate.
Wow. Wow.
These actors in London, these Black actors in London,
Hmm.
they don't come to play with you. You hear me? They
Hmm.
come to slay you down. Okay,
Wouldn't expect anything less.
they don't play. I
Hmm.
was like, what type of like amazing connectivity am I watching right now? This is dope. Y'all are fire.
Hmm.
So, that show I saw. Oh wow, I did see. Oh my goodness, Evo Van Hove's directorial production of, was it Miss Julie at the National, and it was very impactful. Girl,
Wow.
I saw. Uh, I can't remember. It was some hole in the wall theater behind God's back somewhere. Me and my girlfriend went to, and this brother. It was a deaf female actress and a brother, both of them were Black, um, doing this play inside of a boxing ring. Very,
Hmm.
very, very impactful. But I can't remember the name of the show. But I was like, I got to take a picture with you. You're awesome. Oh, guess who I saw kill it before they became famous?
Tell us, girl. Tell us.
Daniel Kaluga. Is that how you say his last name?
Kaluuya, I think it's Kaluuya.
Yeah,
Daniel
Kaluuya.
Kaluuya. Yeah.
I saw him in Blood Orange at
Oh.
the Young Vic. I had to stop and ask him what I was like, what is your name and what are you doing? Like, you gonna be famous. I was like, you're awesome. What in the world?
Now, what is he in here? Is he working here in the States?
Yes.
What now? Well,
So,
tell us, for those who don't know, what is
okay,
he
so
in?
he is Black Panther. He was the
Mhm.
real chocolate one with the
Mm, mm.
who was riding the rhino.
Uh-huh. Am.
Yeah, amp. Yes,
Hey,
he is an
Daniel.
amp.
Am.
And then he did Queen and Slim.
Yes, girl, I love Daniel. I just wanted you to talk. And that brings me to this point. Now, a lot of them, I'm in a lot of conversations with other actors and non-actors who say, "Wow, British actors get a lot of work here in the States."
Mhm.
Do you think that that's because of the work ethic in London, or is it a different type of skill set that British actors are getting that maybe we're not getting here? Or can you speak a little bit more of what you observed there in terms of the training? Because they do got some kick-ass actors coming out of London.
Yeah, but I've seen some shit acting too. Now, don't get it twisted.
Well, but I'm just saying, there's a large population of British. I mean, like, they're working a lot here. British
They
actors.
are working a lot here, and that's the ones who work hard, and they are real. They are actually good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even if you don't agree with some of their choices or what have you, you didn't know they were necessarily British, but they were good enough to do the job. I don't know why they would get the job over an American to play Martin Luther King Jr. or whatever else. However, I don't think that they're horrible, by no means, but it certainly isn't because they have a deeper work ethic than a Black
Okay.
actor here.
Okay,
I
that's
think
what I was
really,
wondering.
yeah, I really think it comes down to networking. It's like, for instance, because Lynn Nottage always used this white female director who's fabulous, right? She's really good, but I'm like, why are you always using this white female director for all your work? Like, what the fuck is going on? When like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Ruined and all those were coming out, and I was like, Sweat even, and I
Right.
was like, what is up with that? But that girl is good. You know
Mm-hmm,
what I mean?
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
use a white editor for the for the shows that I've been creating on Zoom. He white, but he
He
is
good.
good.
He good.
He good, and I vibe with him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I and oh hell, I don't want to seem all colonized like shit. If I did know somebody Black or had been introduced to a Black person that could do the job, then that would be the person that I would be working with, was a young Black editor. But I happen to be introduced to a young white editor, and I love him. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
great, and he does a great job for me. You know, and so I think that in the stuff that we can't see, that um producers and casting directors and agents on the highest level and directors, et cetera, and especially like the studios and networks, as they're putting stuff together, they're dealing with relationship. They're not thinking,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Black this, oh, don't do that, that's not honorable, this that is honorable for Black people. They give a fuck less. They're saying,
Who's better to do the job? Who's got the
who do I
who's
have the relationship
relationship
with? Who
with?
Who
I've
do
been
I?
building
Yeah.
this relationship with over the last couple of years. Oh, you know who would be amazing for
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
David Oyelowo. You know,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this came about like this. Oh, okay. They got a hold of the script. They, whatever. They know this producer. They know Oprah. Because you happen to be working with Ava DuVernay at the time. Okay.
Right.
It's about networking. And I think that, and I'm not saying that all Black people need to learn how to network, or everybody need to learn how to network.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're networking and you're meeting people, it's about relationships. You know what I mean? Like,
You mentioned earlier that you learned networking at your program in London, and maybe you can say a little bit more about whether some specific things you learned in London about how to network, or like how
no,
that
I
all
think that
works.
people learn networking from me in London, but I don't think nobody taught me how to network in London.
Yeah.
Because I was coming from, because my way is, if you can't tell, I'm talkative, I'm gregarious, you
You are.
know.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I
Well,
don't believe
I'm
that.
also friendly and sweet and educated and kind. So,
mm,
but saying that type of thing about myself, it was like Bianca just called herself sweet, educated, kind, friendly, and gregarious. You know,
Well, there
you
is
know,
there's that British stereotype that British people don't, you don't talk about
yeah,
stiff
you
upper
don't
lip.
talk
you
about
don't talk
yourself.
about
Yeah.
You don't
yourself.
pump yourself up. You do not push.
Mm.
You don't push it. You don't do that. But I'm like, how else am I gonna get to know you? Osmosis? I mean, what I mean, hi, I'm Bianca. I'm from Cary, North Carolina. I know you ain't never been to Cary. What's your name? Where you from? I ain't never been to where I'm just getting over here.
Mhm.
I know I've never been to where you're from before. You know, what's your favorite foods? Take me to get some of that. You know, networking, personalization. Who are you? Tell me where the bomb places are to go in London. Okay, then I go, then I come back and tell you I went to London Bridge Market.
Mhm.
Bomb.
Bomb.
I ate all the food. It was
Mhm.
amazing. I bought these earrings from London Bridge Market. Yeah, I didn't buy these, but you know, like I bought these earrings from London Bridge Market. Don't you just love them? You know. And so that's networking on a personalization level. Hey, you want to get lunch with me today? What you doing? Oh,
Mhm.
Bianca, I know we're supposed to get lunch. You want to? Are you busy tomorrow? Are you free? Yes, let's go. I'm having ice cream for lunch though. Are you down or no? You know what I mean? And so, it's letting people know who you are, where you're coming from,
Mhm.
what that is your network. And the networking can be very scary, especially in your 20s and in your 30s. It's very scary, but at a certain point, you just be like, look, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I love me. And
Unapologetically. Mhm.
unapologetically, because what
Mhm.
difference does it make? You don't
What's that?
know that person's background or
Mhm.
nothing. If
Mhm.
you don't vibe with that person, cool, you'll vibe with the next person.
Right. Right.
As a matter of fact, it's good to know who's a no so you can know who's a yes.
My goodness.
So Bianca, I want to know. So you do this program at LAMDA, and then when you get done with the program, when you're approaching the end, what was that experience like? Did the school like help you like make connections for your future career? Were you planning on staying in the UK or just coming right back to America? Like, how did graduation or the end of your time? How did that all work out?
Okay, like I'm burning my Palo Santo now because you're
Oh,
getting deep.
oh
Okay,
gosh.
we're
Okay,
going
here we
into my
go.
Palo Santo.
Here we go.
You're going there. I was like,
Let's
my
clear the
wine is
air.
done, and I need some Palos. I need some good vibrations. So, because the questions are getting deeper, deeper, deeper. So, no, they did not set me up for success.
Okay.
Like most programs, wherever you go,
Right.
I had to say, and I think I started ruffling some of those feathers when it was like, we got 5 more months left here. I was like, aren't you going to introduce me to so and so and blah blah blah? I think we should have a networking meet, because I was the oldest person basically in the school. It was like, I think there was one other Black man that was older than me by like a year or two. And I was like, we need to have a networking meeting. We need to be doing business for directors, business for actors. What is going on here? I was like, are we not learning? We did a showcase in London, but then we got to New York. I'm like, they put me, I mean, I'm keeping it real with you, because I said this is not right. And I let them know what was going on at the time. But I was in the sound booth working the sound for the show for the actors. But I had to request to direct the shows, a few of the shows that were going to America, where I was going back to, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, who can you introduce me to in America? They hooked me up with somebody in London who was a retiring artistic director for the Birmingham Rep, Giles Croft. God bless his heart. He met with me. He paid for me to come out to Birmingham. He showed me the theater and everything. I just want to lift him up because he was so kind to me. I said, do you have any connections in America? Because they're not giving me anything. And he was like, yeah, he had one friend that he could introduce me to, the artistic director of Playwrights Horizons. Good God, that's a great connection. And guess what? I met with that man, but I also met with his assistant, and that man retired. And guess who's reading the play that I'm connected to right now? Adam Greenfield, you know what I mean? Who's running the new artistic director of Playwrights Horizons.
Wow.
Do you know? So
Wow.
it is about that networking thing. And even that I got that one, I went and I talked that man to death. I asked him questions. Who is your I wrote nice comments and letters to them after I left the meeting. Thank you so much for meeting with me. All that, although there was nothing he could do for me, as God would have it, I still been working and doing my thing, being great and showing excellence in everything that I do through my networking, and therefore during COVID, worked with a theater company called I Defy. They were doing this woman who was graduated from Yale this year. Her play, Uhuru. Uhuru is being read by, so she and I really liked each other. Uhuru is being read by Playwrights Horizons. When I wrote him and said, hey, I'm Bianca LaVerne Jones, I would love to be a part of what you got going on. And I have a play that I think would be perfect for your theater. It's called Uhuru by Gloria Majula. He wrote me back on Christmas Day. We were conversing at Christmas, and he was like, hey, Bianca, I'm already aware of you. Remember? Also, that's on my reading list in the next couple weeks. Got it. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? That comes from me networking. And if that one job, that network, that one job showing Black excellence in that one job where it was a COVID, I was doing a COVID Zoom reading, made a connection with the playwright. I really do earnestly like her, and I love her play, If that goes further, then I'm the victor for that, And I have many more stories in the same vein. I think that when you're going for I was telling Candace not long ago, or within the last year or two, I think my purpose might be directing, not acting potentially. I mean, not that I'm gonna stop acting, but I think my purpose might be directing, because it's coming and it's going boom, 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 boom. And it's like Microsoft, those guys that were in on the ground floor for IBM for Apple back in the day, who put in a little bit of stock and then boom, they're millionaires because of it. What if my being a Black female and following that aching thing that I said I had in my spirit has turned into my purpose in life, took me around the world when I got to London, allowed me to explore parts of the world I'd never seen before. And now that I'm back in America, is now the thing that is making me who I am. What if?
So do you think that you studying outside of the States, you think that is something that, is it, I mean, a lot of people study abroad and a lot of people do not. Given that you have studied abroad and you studied in the States, you think that added an extra that you studied abroad, opposed to, and got those skills as a director in LAMDA, opposed to the US? Or is there anything that you would have done differently?
I think that when I first got out and I didn't have any connections for real, when I first got out, I didn't have any connections. I thought, damn, maybe I should have gone to Seattle. But no, I went to the right place.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like I went to the right place. It's my path. But I think it makes me intriguing. It makes it interesting. It has added to my scope of the world. I know how to get around London like the back of my hand now. Because I was there day in, day out for a long period of time. And really literally lived there and was up underneath on top of the tube, you know,
Mm-hmm.
up in the Bend, you know, like everywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I also ended up going to Spain by
Right.
myself, by my first, remember, Kay, I bought my
Yes.
plane ticket to Spain. I was like, look, I'm
Yes.
taking myself from one country to another country by myself, don't know nobody,
We did.
Airbnb for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
days. I'm just gonna go to Alicante.
You
Okay, I
sure
ain't never heard of
did.
Alicante, and I'm on my way. And I went
And
to
you went to
Alicante.
Greece
So
too
that's
while you were there. You
I
went to
went to
Greece.
Alicante. I
Yes.
went to Corfu. I went to Greece. I
Uh-huh.
went to Egypt.
Right. Right.
I was in Wales. I went to Scotland,
Wow. Wow.
Wolverhampton, Birmingham,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then, you know, all over London, Brighton Beach. Yo, Brighton Beach is the bomb. I had a good time in Brighton. Um, um, I love a good fair. You know, like when you go to Brighton, it's like the fair. And so like the water, the fair,
that
the
boardwalk.
bracelet. Yeah,
The lights. Would you
yes.
encourage another woman of color or a woman of African descent if they came to you and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about studying abroad. I'm not really sure." What would you tell that aspiring director or actor about
I would
studying
say
abroad?
I probably would ask them why they want to go, and if they sound like me and they're like, yeah, man, you know, I'm just I feel like that's where I need to be. I need an escape, and I felt, and the odds are slim, and I'm on my way. I would say you better go.
Hmm.
You better hurry up and get there. That's your purpose. You go. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And even if somebody were to say, you know, I just want to go and find myself, I probably would tell them to go to. Then my answer is all Black women. You want to go, go.
Go.
Black folk
Go.
of African descent, go. Hurry up, get out there.
Yeah, it seems like what you were doing is what we're trained to do as actors and as artists is to say yes. You don't know what is what, but if you continue on the journey and say yes as you go, then things just start to unveil and reveal itself, and then you're right where you're supposed to be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing or what you want to do. That is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
thank
that's the
you.
big theme of a
Yeah.
lot of these conversations we've had is saying yes, right? Just taking that
Yeah.
leap. You may not know where you'll land, but just take a leap.
Right.
Have some faith.
Right. You
Have
know,
some faith.
yeah. Go
I
along
feel
for the
like it's
ride.
fun when you
You
when
know?
you take that jump and like you
Yeah.
go out there, you soar. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
thrilling.
It is, and worth it. It really is. Because what
Yes,
is
every
there to
time.
do in this lifetime, but to take those type of chances on yourself? You
Yes.
know, because those are serious chances. I remember you starting, and here you are now directing these two plays, and these are
Come
just two
on
out
now.
of many. I mean, so you know, it's like look what you created for yourself by saying yes.
Yes.
You know, it's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so inspired.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, before we wrap up, can you tell us, Bianca, where we can see or catch your upcoming
Yes.
productions, your upcoming
Oh, without
work?
question, love, without question. Um, so New York Theater Workshop, nytw.org, February 19th through 22nd for for which it stands by Lee Edward Colston II, directed by moi.
Mhm.
And for this one that I'm working on right now, The Glorious World of Crowns, Kinks, and Curls, excuse me, you can go to Baltimore Center Stage, Google Baltimore Center Stage, and you will be able to easily go to you'll be able to easily go onto the website and stream The Glorious World of Crown, Kinks, and Curls starting March 18th.
Okay. Now can people find this information on your website, and just in case people want to learn more about you? I mean, we only had a certain amount of
Oh,
time, but there's
yes.
so much more to Bianca LaVerne Jones.
Yes.
Out
You can
there.
go to Bianca LaVerne Jones, LAVERNE, BiancaLaverneJones.com.
Hmm.
And you can see examples of my acting reel, my and also things that I've directed recently. It's not everything, but things that I've directed recently. I'm about to upload my director's reel on there, and I will definitely put what I'm up to now.
Great, 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 great. Thank you.
Thank
Yes, thank you so
y'all.
much for sharing your story with us. Thank you for joining us for this edition of So Soul San Francisco Internationally Black. We'll be back next month on March 20th for another exciting journey. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay beautiful. Goodbye.